What's up, squad? Back with another video. I seen the title was going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it right here. As Elon is not wrong, Tim Walz is a traitor. Elon Musk, obviously had and has, a lot to say when it comes down to Tim Walz, what's going down in Minnesota. And I feel like a lot of people, feel the same way. Like I've said before, this is something that I clearly don't want, to be swept up under the rug. Something definitely needs to be done. Seeing how bad the fraud is, it's pretty bad, as y'all know. Another post says prosecute Tim Walz, and they better. I'm not gonna lie, better. Things better be done. I'm not even gonna lie. But so we get in here. This is a post by Elon Musk. There's another one. It says the Somali scams have been happening for at least a decade, and it got bigger. Really every year when the authorities like Tim Walz refuse to do nothing. This is a post by New York Post, and shocking footage shows parents pretending to drop kids off at Minnesota daycare center. It's 2015 footage. It's definitely insane that they're doing this. It was pretty much they did the same thing. They did the same thing. What was it? Just a few days ago, when Nick Shirley had originally he was there. He was originally there, at the daycare, and they went, I guess, the next day or the next, and they brought kids, and I find it quite interesting and quite insane that they're doing that. It's definitely insane. Right here it says Nick Shirley exposed that a Somali daycare got shut down and immediately reopened under a different name, only to get more than $2.4 million in taxpayer dollars. It's new cars parked outside. I'm telling y'all, they need to raid that building.
Here in
ASAP.
Minnesota, blatant fraud is taking place within the government and the Somalian population. Right here, you see a daycare center. It says it's Creative Minds Daycare. Creative Minds Daycare was actually shut down and was reopened the next day underneath the name Super Kids. And just in the past year, in 2025, this daycare alone has received $2.45 million. It's rumored here that some of these daycares and these other businesses that are committing fraud have been rumored to be giving money back to terrorist groups in Somalia. There's a 35% chance on Polymarket right now that those people who helped defraud the government will be deported back to Somalia. But this daycare alone received over $2.45 million. So maybe if you want to become a millionaire here in the United States, you should open up a daycare center and receive government funding from a governor like Tim Walz here inside the state of Minnesota, because these people are making $2.45 million. And right now you have a BMW, Range Rover,
Wow.
BMW in a
Wow.
van outside of this daycare center here.
That is insane.
BMW.
They got, what is that? 2 BMWs right there, a Range Rover and a BMW. They clowning. I'm not gonna lie, they clowning. Definitely sickening. Definitely sickening. So, while all this is going on, Elon Omar opened up her mouth, about the whole situation, President Trump accomplishing something so great, when it comes down to Venezuela, and you got her speaking on stuff and different things rather than, speaking on something that's actually, that needs to be talked about. Literally, you have Tim Walz says, I'm running for re-election to continue serving as governor in Minnesota. I promise y'all, it's not going to surprise me whatsoever. And that's why this is more the reason on why they need to get on those deportations now, because of the corruption going down. And I already know that it's going to be even crazier seeing how this relation goes. That's why a lot of, and I know I have a lot of people in Minnesota that's always in my comments. Make sure y'all, get out there. Make sure y'all share. Yeah, share the video. Share my videos too. So it'll be known, It's very important for individuals to get out, and to vote. He says, crazy things, insane things. And I'm gonna skim through this because I really could care less. Says Walz pushes for more funding to fight crime. More funding to fight crime, y'all. Literally insane. I'm not gonna lie. Highest graduation rates. Says balanced budget while protecting education. I'm just reading all the BS. Governor Tim Walz established state fraud investigations unit to protect our tax dollars. This is insane. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely insane, definitely sickening that you have an individual, that is truly, lying. Honestly lying. It's definitely sickening and definitely sad. Then you have Elon Musk said, "Happy New Year, wishing you all a happy and healthy start to 2026. Looking forward to another year fighting alongside of you to build a brighter, stronger Minnesota." When I tell y'all, this is so insane. Y'all really need to get out. Just get out and do everything that y'all can. I've been seeing a lot of people even go out, to these centers and just exposing more and more and more each and every day, because it definitely is, definitely is important to do so. Says here, Tim Walz needs to resign. And this is actually quote, of Tim Walz. "Stop talking about Somali criminals in Minnesota and start talking about the white men that are criminals." And I'm telling y'all, bro, it's sickening. It's definitely sickening. It says here, citizen journalists are taking over primetime mainstream news for blowing the lid off the massive Somali fraud scandal. And this story is only going to get bigger. It's going to get bigger just for the simple fact because, Nick Shirley definitely shed a light onto it. But then again, there are other, independent journalists, content creators that are going and exposing even more. You do get, like I've said it plenty of times, you definitely get different reactions, each time you go. You get different things. You've had Nick Shirley go before. I've seen multiple individuals go, and it's all the situations have been different, and something new comes out. I've seen, the situation with the camera, or you seeing, one day it was kids there, one day, all of a sudden they're bringing kids. So it's definitely important, to hop on it. I definitely would. I'm not gonna lie. It'd be pretty interesting for, myself, to go. I've been talking, to Chris about it, and seeing, about the, the whole situation of what's going on in Minnesota. And I don't know. I think it'd be pretty cool. I definitely think it'd be pretty cool to do, because it definitely is, important to shed a light, on things that's going on. Check it out right here.
So the jig is up. Captain Nick Shirley found the map. And now other independent journalists are following the clues. It's taking them coast to coast.
I was wondering if I could get an application for my son. Would that be possible? Can I get an application?
That's not transparency, that's piracy. Remember the Leering Center that insisted their hours were 2 to 10 p.m.? Well, now they're suddenly closed again at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Wow.
I'm just trying to enroll my kid.
Just letting you know.
Can I enroll my kid? His name's Abdi. Abdi.
There's a procedure for that. It's not like
A procedure? Can I get papers?
come back to us when we're open on regular hours and we'll work with you guys.
It's 3:48 on a Tuesday.
But CNN is ignoring the clues. They're more focused on the captain.
How do you know that all the allegations that you're making are true?
How do I know that they're true? Well, we showed you guys what was happening, and then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
We're coming so we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business.
So they ambushed Shirley in the street, but politely call the ones cashing in taxpayer checks. Still, only one daycare answered, and they accidentally proved the captain's point. X marks the spot. Maybe CNN should consider this point. If 80% of Minneapolis Somalis are on some kind of welfare, why are all of their kids supposedly in daycare?
Definitely insane. Definitely insane. Definitely sickening. And I'm truly not understanding. This woman right here owns a daycare facility in Texas and has a spot on to, spot on take, on what's going on in Minnesota. Honestly, was geeked about, this video in particular, just because, I was waiting on, I for real, I was really, truly waiting on someone to come out, with the video, actual person, that owns a daycare, to explain more, of the lies that they've been saying, these daycare owners in Minnesota. And I know that there's a lot of daycares in Minnesota, but, and all of them, when it comes down to it, all of them aren't, doing, with the fraud, but most are, but this person right here, she owns a daycare center, and she'll, give her 2 cents.
So my husband and I own a daycare center here in Texas that we started from originally our living room. We were in-home providers. And I have a lot of feelings about this Minnesota fraud case. I watched a video where the journalist had gone up to the different facilities and somebody answered the door and they had asked for a tour. If somebody asked for a tour at my facility, guess what? They're getting a tour. I'm gonna drop everything I'm doing because you have to be on your hustle game to be able to run these facilities.
Yeah.
It is so expensive to run a daycare center and it is so easy to go under. And so immediately to not have any documentation or enrollment packets, you don't have enrollment packets made, you won't let anybody come in for a tour. Also, have you ever worked with kids? Like, there's no way you can open the door. I could be on the phone in my front office and somebody's crying or giggling or yelling. There are no sounds in those facilities. The fact that this went on for so long is so insane. And what really pisses me off is that now it's trickling down to people who aren't even related, who are just trying to do the right thing and run their facility. I got an email just now while I was at the gym from Workforce Commission about how, hey, if you are gonna need funding for da-da-da-da-da from NCI, you need to give us an estimation of how much you think you're going to need because they might be asking us to jump through all these different hoops for attendance and for everything else, which is cool. But my point is, why do I, an upstanding citizen, somebody who's honest about what I'm doing, my heart is in it, why do I have to deal with this crap? I'm not even in that state. Most wonderful families that get on this wait list to be in these subsidy programs, and they wait years and years and years to be able to actually get this subsidy to help them pay for childcare so they can go to work. It's not right.
That's insane. Ain't that's insane? I'm not gonna lie. Definitely insane. And the crazy thing is, this is just not happening. As she said, this is just not happening. These different situations of what, others have to go through. But even the fraud that's going on in Minnesota, people think that, there's a lot of individuals that just think that it's in Minnesota. It's a lot of places. Minnesota is just that place that is telling y'all, it's a lot of money. A lot of money into it. As y'all seen, just from Nick Shirley post of all those BMWs, all those BMWs and what was it? Range Rovers, it's definitely sickening. I'm telling y'all, definitely sickening. Check it out.
Democrats who have put Somali diaspora in Minneapolis at the center of their party and their state's politics. It's a small portion of the population. There is a bunch of fraud that goes on. And even Tim Walz has claimed that any investigation of this fraud is akin to white supremacy,
No,
which is
he
a
hasn't.
ridiculous
He has not
allegation.
said that. He has not said that.
He has said that.
He has not said that.
This is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy, the idea of white supremacy, the idea of white supremacy, the idea.
It's all right there. All right there. I've said this time and time again. This has nothing to do with race. This is a right or wrong situation, and they are completely in the wrong. and have been in the wrong for years. Have been in the wrong for years. I'm telling y'all, this ain't it. One thing about it, this is Tyrus, and he explained it better than anybody, and definitely put his 2 cents in, you know, about a lot, you know, that you know is going on, you know, in Minnesota. Check it out right
He
here.
needs to resign. I would resign. If I was the governor and this happened on my watch at the amount of this money, I'd be ashamed. This happened on my watch. To argue and say, I've been working on this for years. Don't know if he found $111 million. Well, okay, well, he's just $8.9 billion short. Like, this to me, complicit is a very polite word. But I will be racist. I will be Islamophobic because I'm a moneyist. I want to know where my money is. So if that makes me racist, if that makes me Hitler Jr., because I want to know what people from what country are taking our taxpayer money, at this point, so what? We're all that anyways. So when they make those threats, and they were able to do that for such a long time, could you imagine if I got pulled over by the police for speeding and he went to give me a ticket? I'm like, sir, if you give me that ticket, you're racist. And he didn't give me that ticket. I wish I would have known about this a long time ago. But I wouldn't do that because I have integrity. This whole thing has nothing to do with Republican, Democrat. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. There's crooks on both sides. They've been running the show for a long time. But here you caught somebody. You got a whole group. You have a whole country using America to launder their money. It's basic, plain and simple. The only difference is they're not selling drugs and they're not going criminal things. They're literally walking right into the bank and getting our American money and doing what they want with it. So to make the argument about, well, he's this or that, no, he's just as guilty as the people involved because it happened on his watch, and the right thing to do is resign, period.
Me personally, just like, you know, Tyrus has said, I would do the same. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely would do the same, just based off of, you know, when it comes down, you know, to resigning. I truly don't see why, you know, he wouldn't. But me personally, I definitely would, you know, in this case. But honestly, I'm not. I truly don't care. And I say I don't care because I want it to be better, you know, than it. I want it to be to where it's investigate, find everything that needs to be found, get everything and gather. I'm talking about everything. Find out who was doing what. See how much money is collected. I'm talking about everything. And, you know, get down with it. Prison time. I'm not gonna lie. Prison times, deportations. That's all we need to see. I ain't gonna lie. Definitely. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love to everybody. Let me know your comments and thoughts on this. Catch y'all next one.